Welcome to another podcast of the current situation at Manchester United. Hope you guys are enjoying your Monday morning so far. On my end, it's about 10 minutes after 7. It's rare for me to do an early Monday morning video. Um, but first of all, just to kick things off in this podcast, I just want to talk to the brothers. 'Cause I know I have a few Caucasian listeners to me, although I don't have a lot of listeners to begin with. But I just want to speak to the brothers. When I say brothers, I'm talking about black skin brothers. I want to talk to them instead, just for the couple minutes that I have. We're under attack, bro. We're under attack. And you as a nigga, they will always see us as niggas. Whether it's in Canada, which I reside whether it's from America, which most reside from the Caribbean, which I used to reside from, um, they always looking after us, bro. They ain't looking after us, I should say. They hate us. You see me? There's a faction of white persons that hate us as black men. We're under attack. You see me? They don't respect us. They haven't respected us since slavery days. Some of them have hatred tendencies to them. So when they're in a position of power, they want to abuse that power and misuse that power against us. You see me? To my uh how should I say this? To my unfortunate listener, if that makes sense. Last week a couple policemen handled this black man, for like 8 minutes on the floor with his knee on his neck. His name is Floyd. I never know him personally. I've seen pictures of him online. And I have to tell you also, we as black men are under pressure. We are under attack. There's a faction, as I said earlier, there's a faction of white Caucasian persons or other persons of other ethnicity that hate us as black men or as black people. For the next couple seconds, I'm going to give silence to the late passing of George Floyd, who has been murdered. I don't care what anybody wants to say. He has been murdered and he is dead now. This guy was pleading for his life. He couldn't breathe. And he was begging the policeman to come off his neck because he was choking him. The policeman had him, what the fuck his name again? I can't even remember the name because I'm kind of pissed off this morning. I wouldn't say chains because that's insane. That's not the correct term. But this guy could move. You were on his body. The least you could do was just come off his neck. That's what he could do. Now your wife want to divorce you. But your wife knew what she was getting into anyway because this is not the first time that you have been under fire or under scrutiny or under jeopardy. You know of what you have been doing for the last decade. I know you want to kill this innocent black man because you was scared that he was going to whoop your ass. That's how scared you are that he was going to whoop your ass. My man was locked up on his belly, but yet he didn't want to come off him because he would whip your ass. You know that. You know that. And for that other policeman, that Chinese policeman, looking all looking all weak and shit, talking about get behind the line, don't pass the line, move, don't take a picture of me. With dumbass, with dumbass. Now on that quick note, I know some of you guys, white, Caucasian, otherwise, are gentle at heart. I know you guys have good intentions and good deeds. So you know I'm not talking to. I'm just talking to a small faction of this world's population that is uh that is hating us black brothers because they probably just don't respect us as men that we are or as the people that we are. So I'm gonna give George Floyd a couple seconds. Just remember the passing of George Floyd. Okay. On a quick side note, to come back to terms with football, Liverpool on this day last year won the Champions League against Spurs. I don't remember the score. I didn't watch it much, but Liverpool won that final, and Origi was on the score sheet. Salah scored from the penalty spot. Um, I'm gonna get to that later on in this video, which is going to be a long video, but as I can tell from my last podcast, I don't think this make any sense, but I'm gonna mention it anyway because I think it's worth mentioning. In my last video, I got at least 8 views, and that's the most views I've gotten for the in comparison to my last 7 or 8 videos after before that. So, and I think it's due to the thumbnail I put up with Ronaldo. I think that was appealing. Um, Again, I appreciate everybody that watches my channel, whether it's just 50 seconds or 50 minutes of the video. I appreciate that. That really means a much. Just to take a part of it, just to come to terms with my videos, whether it's a dislike, whether it's a like, or whether it's a comment or a criticism. Hey, I appreciate everything that comes my way. Is me. So let's just chat about the game. So Liverpool on this day won the Champions League last year this time around. Um, Speaking of Manchester United, let's get into some news talk. Jadon Sancho, who has been linked with Manchester United for over like a year now, scored a hat trick yesterday against. I don't even watch Bundesliga that much. Trust me. I think I mentioned it already. But he scored a hat trick yesterday, a very convincing hat trick, I should say. And he's been linked to Manchester United ever so frequently ever since. My thing is that Jadon Sancho is English, and he's not going to come to Manchester United on a cheap, definitely not on a free. Jadon Sancho is a very, very, very good winger, and United have to pull hammer and tail to get that kind of player. United got Daniel James about some around this time last year, I think. So to get Jadon Sancho, United have to dig deep into their pockets and put pen to paper and say, hey, we want to sign Sancho. Are you game? And Sancho just sign his contract with his signature, and of course pay money as well. Speaking of transfers, and this will be good news for some Manchester United supporters. Ighalo, based on Fabrizio Romano, I think he's a journalist in football, and he said that Ighalo has signed a 1 year extension on a loan to Manchester United. So meaning that from now up until January 2021, Ighalo will be a Manchester United player. So you could say that United has nailed down at least for a year Ighalo, which is good news. if you're a fan of the Nigerian. Now speaking of that, there are a lot of Manchester United supporters, particularly I would estimate them as young Manchester United supporters that think. Let me just finish on Odion Ighalo first. Odion Ighalo that joined Manchester United in January has about 4 goals, if not more than that, in 11 appearances, which I find very good. And the way he's holding up the ball, how he's bringing players into play, his hold up play, everything about him is just a prototypical number nine. That's what I expect from a number nine. To hold up the ball, to bring others into play, and yeah, a lot of Manchester United supporters are very happy with the Odion Ighalo signing, at least for a year. And yeah, I think that is good for Odion Ighalo just to play at his boyhood club for at least a year. And I don't think he'll be a starter, but him playing for his boyhood club regardless and nevertheless should really spur up a joy in his heart just to play for Manchester United. So that is the good news. And just to continue on the good news, at least for now, Manchester United has been linked with Bayern Leverkusen star. I think his name is Kai Havertz. I think Havertz. Yeah, I think that's how his name pronounced. I'm not really familiar with him, but my thoughts is that Manchester United does need an extra midfielder, which I'm coming into in a second about Saul Niguez of Atletico Madrid. But speaking of this guy from Bayer Leverkusen, United doesn't need that kind of guy. We have a lot of players at Manchester United, young players at Manchester United that needs game time to develop into the star players that we believe they can be. For example, Anthony Martial, Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho if he comes. Daniel James, I don't think James would stay the same, but I think his game can be unlocked at a different level. We're not probably not on a superstar level, but I think he can do stuff with the ball. So I think as relates to this transfer, I think he's going to probably like Liverpool or staying at Bayer Leverkusen at least for another season. Then he just put out. Um, so that's my thoughts. And speaking of Saul Niguez, Saul Niguez yesterday posted on his Twitter page that he'll be announcing his new club in 3 days. Well, as I'm speaking right now, it's about 2 days left. So you could say that on Tuesday, if not Wednesday, he'll be reporting his new club. His new club. My thought is that I don't think that's a proper way to come out and say, hey, I'm going to a new club in the next 3 days. Who's going to sign me? Who's going to sign me? Are you going to sign me? Are you going to sign me? Are you going to sign me? I don't think that's the right way to do it, bro. I think I should keep. I know it's excitement for you just to go to a new club or to go to a new environment, but keep that shit discreet, bro. Nobody wants to hear you yik yakking about going to another club. I think that's I would say it's disrespectful, but I just think that it's immature. It's an immature way how to go about things. And here's the kicker: if he doesn't go to a new club in the next 3 days or announce his new club in the next 3 days, he's going to come under fire. Because if you're putting yourself in a position and situation, you are going to get some blowback from a lot of football fans, which I'm getting into in this lengthy video podcast. So my thoughts is that someone against that Manchester United, like I heard some person saying, come to Manchester United, come to Manchester United, come to Manchester United. We don't need Saul niggas at Manchester United. We have good midfield players already that need to start. We have Bruno Fernandes, we have Paul Pogba, which I'll be getting into this video. But actually after this talking point, but I don't think Saul Niguez needs to come to Manchester United. Just because a player is available doesn't mean he should be signed at a certain club. That's not how football goes. A lot of football fans have this entitlement. Uh, they have this entitlement thing about them that there is this world class player that's uh that's available, and everybody's saying he should come to Arsenal or he should come to Chelsea. I think he would suit Manchester United style. He's such a guile and fast and quick and fragile player. He's a player we need to Manchester United. You know, he's very good with passes. He's good with all. Not because a world class player is available doesn't mean he should come to Manchester United. A lot of you guys have this entitlement mentality. A player is available. Oh, listen, let's show some cash for him. What if the player doesn't want to come to your club? I say, oh, maybe you should just give him a lot more money so he can, so he can be seduced and he can just play for a club. I mean, he might come and play for a club, but does he want to play for a club? Does he genuinely want to play for a club? Or because you're dishing out some cheese? That's why he's coming to play for a club. You have to understand that players play for two. There are two behavior. There are two motivations that guard a player's behavior to play for a club. Genuine interest, meaning that he really wants to play for a club. For example, I would say Ighalo. Or two, for incentivized interest, meaning that you have to dish out cheese for him to play for a club. Apart from that, bro, I would say those are the two main moving forces that would motivate players to come play for a club. Um, yeah, speaking of Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes, out of Manchester United, I would say particularly young millennial Manchester United supporters are of the misleading impression that if Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes play together, then the side would play more expansively, more intensively, and they score more goals. Not necessarily, not necessarily, and anybody that understands football will know where I'm going with this. I think I mentioned this in one of my podcasts. I mean, a couple months ago. Speaking a couple months ago, if you, see, I know that my hair doesn't look good for the morning. I just woke up, as you can tell. But if you compare my videos to January and February in comparison to now, you could say that a brother is kind of looking lean and clean. You know what I mean? I'm kind of, as I told you guys, that I was on a fat loss phase, and it's fair to say that I have, yeah, I have accomplished my goal. Like in January, I was like 190, 190 pounds, and right now I'm on like 160 pounds. So that's like a 29 to 30 pound loss. I mean, of course, you guys can see it. I kind of look bloated because yesterday I had like over 3,000, if not close to 3,000 calories, which is known as a refeed or a cheat day. But this is not a video based on fitness, so I'm gonna just leave that for another day. But I just thought to put that in here. But going back to what I was saying before, I did a video, I think in January or February, talking about midfield. One of the key things I said that mid in as it relates to midfield is that moderation is key. Moderation is key. What do I mean by moderation is key? Meaning that you cannot have two players that are of the same nature, as it relates to midfield anyway. You cannot have the two of the same players in nature starting in one club. Like for one club, I should say. For example, I made reference to Real Madrid in 2015, 2016, all the way up until Zidane was appointed. So you could say from Rafa Benitez was appointed as manager for Real Madrid until January, until he was sacked. He played a three-man midfield of James Rodriguez, Luka Modric, and Toni Kroos. Let me repeat that. James Rodriguez, Luka Modric, and Toni Kroos. Out of the three midfielders that I mentioned at this point in time and in my last video, which I will put a link in the video below. Speaking of moderation, who would you say is the holding midfielder or the number six? Who do you say is the box to box midfielder? Who do you say is the number 10 in that three-man midfield? Is what I'm trying to say? I would say Modric and Kroos is of the same nature. They have different nuances to their self play, but basically when it comes down to the nitty gritty, they have the basic nature. Like they are box to box midfielders. It's not until Zidane came in, he he brought in Casemiro to start in that three-man midfield at the base of the midfield, and that would have led them to win the Champions League that season. And they have improved ever since. At least they haven't conceded a lot of goals as much as before prior to Casemiro starting at midfield. So I'm saying that to say that Pogba and Bruno Fernandes, because of their they have they have same attributes. They have the same nature when it comes on to playing in midfield. So my thing is one needs to be the holding midfielder. Who is going to be the defensive midfielder? I would say Matic. If not Matic, I would say Scott McTominay to play deep. A lot of persons saying, Fred should play CDM, CDM. Fred doesn't have, he might have the tenacity, but he doesn't have the physical prowess to endure that through the Premier League. I mean, Kante is a different breed, but Kante is Kante. Fred is not that he's not that quick when it comes on to tackles. He's tenacious, but he's not that great in terms of interception. So Matic for me would play as the number six or as a defensive midfielder. Bruno Fernandes would start in that midfield. Let me repeat that. Bruno Fernandes will start in that midfield. And I would have Fred in there just to add on some tenacity. Like for example, you notice that for Chelsea, as I was speaking about Kante, Kante is not playing as a defensive midfielder for Chelsea at this point in time. And it has been like that for a while now, ever since Sarri was at Chelsea. Jorginho is the number six. Like he's a deep line playmaker, but Kante adds tenacity as a box to box. Like you'd go in the attacking third and in the middle third to a tenacity, so he can run back. So for example, if Chelsea lost the ball as they were counter attacking and the opposing side is counter attacking uh on their side, Kante is going to run back and win the ball. While have Jorginho sitting back right here, telling players where to go and how to move. And if the players beat Kante or they beat Kovacic, Jorginho is going to win that tackle. Of course, it doesn't work a lot of times because this is just football. You win and you lose sometimes. But I'm saying that to say, if Bruno Fernandes and Paul Pogba or Fred or like I hear some people saying, well, maybe Scott McTominay shouldn't start. Why not put Matic, Pogba, and Bruno Fernandes in there? No, 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 no. This is what this. If you want to get the best out of Manchester United, these are the two things that has happened. You start Bruno Fernandes and bench Paul Pogba, or in reverse, you will start Paul Pogba and bench Bruno Fernandes. Two of these players are of the same nature cannot start. They cannot start. The quicker you understand that, the better it will be for Manchester United. A marketable midfield will lead to destruction. Let me repeat that. A marketable midfield will lead to destruction. If you don't believe me, look at what happened to the Galacticos in the early 2000s. You had Beckham, you had Figo, you had Zidane, and you had Mikelele. Before Beckham came in 2004, he left 2004. Real Madrid sold Mikelele to make space for Beckham to start because that was their mistake. They wanted a marketable starting side just to appease the fans and supporters. But if you're a football minded person like me, you would know that moderation is key. Because if you are playing a midfield without a defensive midfielder, you're going to concede all kinds of goals from left, right, center, up and down. Dude, you go concede out of goals, they will start spinning. If you don't have a midfield that consists of a defensive midfielder, a box to box, and a number 10, or I what's known as the maestro, your midfield go lose. That is why Barcelona's midfield dominated for like a decade. They had Sergio Busquets at the base, Xavi as the number 8. He was playing the straight. He was like pulling the strings in midfield. He was spraying passes left and right. He was reading the field, and he was the box-to-box midfield. And he had Iniesta that played slightly upwards, more advanced than Iniesta. So you could say he was the advanced number 10. So that is why that midfield three dominated football for a certain time. Moderation is key, bro. Do not be entwined with a world class midfield. That doesn't compute. That does not listen. Matic, for the betterment of Manchester United, Matic needs to start at defensive midfield. Speaking of that, Matic is getting on a bit. He's not getting younger, which means that he won't be playing. He shouldn't be playing a lot of games coming next season. So we need his replacement in either Scott McTominay or Fred. I'm not even mentioning Andres Pereira or Lingard at this point because right now they're just redundant. I'm mentioning the midfield three that will start for Manchester United and will fire for Manchester United, allowing the strikers to score their goals. That's what I'm trying to say. So, in my opinion, and again, I want you guys to. That was a good one for a good morning. I want you guys to list down in the comment section below of the midfield. Well, I mean, if you think that Pogba and Bruno Fernandes should start, I want you guys to be objective. And I want you guys to leave your comments below and tell me why you think Bruno Fernandes and Paul Pogba should start together. Again, if you have a valid reason, I'm more than willing to shout it out in my next video. I'm more than willing to shout it out because, in my opinion, I don't believe Pogba and Bruno Fernandes should be starting. That's like handing the keys for suicide, especially when it comes to conceding goals. And they here for the last 2 years has been conceding goals like holes on the street. Like any ball that passes through the net, people are saying, it's a fence fault, it's a fence fault. Why not go to De Gea? De Gea has been conceding goals like crazy. I think Cristiano Ronaldo broke his high horse mentality in the World Cup. Because ever since he's not been the same player. 28 minutes. Okay, it's going to be a long, lengthy video. Last thing I wanted to talk about is some of you football fans, particularly you millennial supporters, really trip me out. Really, really trip me out. You really know to chat my hype for the morning. One of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to football, there are two types of football fanatics out there. There are football persons that love football. Secondly, the the person that loves football doesn't really love football. They just support their football club. For example, I would say this person, the second one I mentioned, they're only like they're like white knights for their club. Like they don't like watching other football clubs. They don't like watching other football games. I mean, here and there they might, but when it comes down to their club, they defend their club to the death. And they have hatred for other clubs that win trophies and silverwares aside from them. So again, you have football fanatics that love football, like these are the objectified football fans, some of them. And then secondly, you have football fans that love their football club more, but they have a, a, a covert hatred for other clubs that win trophies apart from them. Like if their club don't win a trophy for the next 2 3 years, but other clubs that win trophies apart from them, they're going to get hatred. And this is related to a comment I saw on Twitter early this morning. I really got into it with this guy on Twitter over, I wouldn't say an argument, but more so a debate. And he was basically, I ain't gonna read all the tweet, but he was basically saying 1 year ago, the tweet is right here in front of me, but I ain't gonna read it. He was saying 1 year ago, the worst UCL final happened. Again, this is not his exact words, but that's me paraphrasing a bit saying 1 year ago, the worst UCL game happened. UCL final happened. As if this dude ever watch all the UCL finals, starting up till 1960 or 1950s when Real Madrid was dominating the Euro finals. As if this dude watches football ever since that time. How do you know that UCL uh how do you know that that's the worst UCL final ever? How do you know that? I'm pretty sure if your club was in the final, I think he's a Manchester United supporter. How do you I mean, if your club was in the final, bro, you wouldn't care. You wouldn't even, that comment would even. Shit, I can't even speak early. I can't even speak this morning because I'm so heated. But dude, if your club was in the UCL final last year against either Spurs or Liverpool, that comment wouldn't even see the light of day. Wouldn't even see the light of day. But because your club is not in the final, you want to say, oh, the worst UCL final has been played 1 year last year, this time last year. You know, this is the worst UCL final I've ever witnessed. As if you have watched all UCL finals, you know. And he's like, and I'm like, bro, you haven't watched all UCL finals, so how could you say this is the worst UCL final? And he's like, well, I'm not really saying that. I'm just saying that Spurs got lucky to reach a final, and I think Liverpool deserved it. Of course, Liverpool deserved it. But how can you say that Spurs was lucky, dude? And I told him in the comment section, I'm basically like, dude, when preparation meets opportunity, it will always be deemed as luck. Whenever you prepare for an exam and the exact questions you saw on the paper, you studied the previous night or the other night before, it's going to be deemed as luck because you prepared yourself. But if you don't prepare yourself, all of a sudden, well, this is the worst exam paper that I've ever witnessed. I'll never, I, I don't even, come on, bro. You know that don't make no sense. Most of you guys just say it when clubs that you don't have a like for win trophies and your club does win in trophies. That's real talk. That's real talk. And some of you guys don't want to admit that. Admit it, bro. Tell me, admit it, bro. I ain't go through fire in the game. Admit it, bro. Tell it to daddy. Tell it to daddy. I ain't go, yeah, it just chops your eye. It burns it to your soul to see other clubs reach a final and your club don't even reach quarterfinals. Spurs was resilient, and I told you that in the comment section. Spurs was resilient twice, twice. They beat Manchester City. They beat Ajax from behind, and they're in the final. They might not have won the final, but they deserved every bit because they had an elite mentality. Yes, Spurs is basically a battle in the Premier League, but in that season, which was last season, for a reason, they became resilient and they supersede and override other opponents to reach that final. So Pochettino deserve, and his side, of course, deserve the credit to reach a final. But you don't want to give Spurs that credit. It's too much for you. Too much for you to accept. Some of you guys don't know football, other football clubs. No, I'm gonna give you all disclosure. And yeah, there are certain football clubs that I don't dislike, like for example Liverpool, and that's because that's a rival thing. That's not because I have a hatred for the club. I was actually defending Liverpool in this, but basically he was saying, this is the worst. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. I would even say UCL, and this might be me giving jobs at clubs that won UCL by penalties, but I don't care. Liverpool didn't win the finals on penalties. They did get a penalty in the final, but they didn't win on penalties. So I don't even see how you could say that's the worst UCL final. And I've seen a comment quite a few times on Twitter, on my Twitter feed. I'm like, dude, what are you trying to say? If your club was in the final, that comment would not see the light of day. I guarantee you. And again, I'm not one for guarantees. But I guarantee if your club was in the final, that wouldn't even come across your mind. Clubs that win UCL on penalties, especially if they were in the lead at first, they are worse than those clubs that win the UCL final, not on penalties. For example, Manchester United. If you think that Manchester United convincingly won that UCL final in 2008, you're tripping. You're tripping. Chelsea had chances to put Manchester United out of their misery, and they didn't. So I don't understand what you're trying to talk about. Is this me taking jobs at Manchester United? Not really. But I'm saying, do not say that clubs that you don't like, that won the Champions League, that you don't like, are clubs that lost the Champions League final, but they reach in the final before your club. You shouldn't. You don't have to hate them. And any person that loves football wouldn't even say that comment. Wouldn't even say that comment. So I don't even. Nah, bruh. That don't even make sense to me. Liverpool deserve every bit of their Champions League title last season. A lot of persons didn't expect Liverpool to win the UCL last season, but they did. And because they won the UCL, people are disliking Liverpool because they did won the Champions League final. Some of you guys just have a passionate hatred for other clubs for no reason because they win trophies that your club didn't win. Like Arsenal won the golden trophies, all won a golden trophy, being the Invincibles that season. Why ain't go chip on it? Manchester United has way more titles than Arsenal, so why should I chip on it? Some of you guys just really hate clubs that won trophies that your club hasn't. Like for example, I've seen Arsenal supporters speaking of Arsenal that hate other clubs that won UCL finals. But because Arsenal lost the finals, but no, they want to hate on every club. Like I even hear some clubs, some Manchester United, not Manchester United, some supporters from Arsenal saying that they are the best club in London. But bro, if you're the best club in London and you haven't won the Premier League since 2004, how you are the best club in London and you haven't even won the Champions League or the Premier League wait, did I just say the Champions League since 2004? If I did say that, then that's not what I meant. I mean Arsenal winning the Premier League since 2004 because that's the last time you have laid hands on a 2000. What am I trying to say? On a title in the Premier League. But Chelsea won it like 6 or 7 times after that. Make that make sense. You haven't won the Champions League, you haven't won the Premier League since 2004. But no, you want to say, well, we're still the best club in London because we have the invincible title. We're an invincible team. We are Arsenal. 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 Chelsea's a better club than you. Period. At least at the moment. I mean, you could make changes, but at this point in time, you ain't on the same line as Chelsea. You're not on the same level as Chelsea. You know you're not. You know you're not. So on that segue rant, I want to salute you guys for listening to my podcast. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Monday morning. It's a good Monday morning, actually. It's a very Sunday morning, Monday morning. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. We know how the world is going on at the moment. Things are just flying off in the United States, but keep safe, stay strong.